Not my dad, please. I just need him back, please.
Hello and welcome to the second of 3 bonus episodes for this year's Cold Case Christmas. The very last episode of season 3 will come out tomorrow, and that will be the final curtain drop for this series in 2024. It's been a wild ride, and I hope you've enjoyed every case that I've brought you. In today's case, we are going to Philadelphia, and we're going to investigate the disappearance of a couple who went to a bar, just like many thousands of other people do. They were seen leaving the bar, and that was it. They just disappeared off the face of the earth. The FBI believe that people know what happened, but it's nearly 20 years. Come February 2025, it will be 20 years, and still there are no answers. For who disappeared Danielle Imbo and Richard Petrone?
Every year that goes by that we don't have an answer and we don't get justice, it's just agony. It's just agony.
Danielle and Richard were in what their friends called an on-again, off-again romantic relationship. Danielle was 34 at the time of her disappearance, and she lived in Mount Laurel in New Jersey. At the time of her disappearance, she was going through a pretty devastating divorce. She was really upset by the events that happened. She was married to someone called Joe Imbo. It is alleged that he cheated on her, and he decided to move in with someone else, leaving her behind, which left her absolutely destroyed her life. And she tried so hard to fix her marriage. In the end, she just gave up, and she started to see Richard Petrone. Now, Richard was 35 at the time of his disappearance, and he had a daughter from a previous relationship. He was a very steady guy, loved music, which gave him and Danielle something huge to have in common. Danielle was following in her father's footsteps. He was a singer. She was a singer. She used to play gigs some weekends. They'd known each other for ages, but it was through this divorce that Danielle and Richard hooked up again. So they'd started a romantic friendship, nothing serious. But then Joe Imbo decided that he wanted Danielle back, and he started to push Danielle towards getting back together with him, and Danielle was completely confused. Joe and Danielle had a little son together. She never wanted them to split originally, but she'd been through all of this trauma, and now she was with Richard. So did she really want to go back to Joe? She did tell both guys that she needed some time. She needed some time to think about what she wanted to do with her life. She just wanted to be alone for a little while. But Joe Imbo didn't take this very well, and he would call Richard and be angry, saying that he couldn't have her, that kind of thing. Danielle and Richard, they really weren't seeing each other. She'd cut it off. But on this particular night, the 19th of February 2005, Richard called Danielle just on the off chance and asked her to go out with him to a bar in Philadelphia. She didn't have her little boy. He was with his dad, so okay, let's do it.
We were at Chicken Pete's in South Philly, and he was at the tap room near his apartment. So when we left dinner, I dropped her off to him at the bar.
How did that happen? How did they...
They were talking through our dinner. I don't know. I was going back to New Jersey. I had work the next day.
So they went to a bar together, Abilene's. They left the bar about 11:30 p.m, heading towards Richard's black 2001 Dodge Dakota pickup truck. They didn't have a very long walk to Richard's truck. Richard had even bragged, because it was a freezing cold night, he'd even bragged to his friends that he'd managed to bag a parking spot really close to the bar. They were planning to go back to Danielle's in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. There was one of two bridges that they had to cross to go over the river in order to get into New Jersey.
Just nobody on South Street saw anything? Nobody along the highway saw anything?
No one saw him again. After leaving that bar in the 400 block of South Street in Philly, really busy place, no one saw him again. Since the disappearance, there's been no activity on either of those phones or their personal banking. Family and friends have just been absolutely destroyed by their disappearance. Both sides, both of them left children. Danielle's son was just 2 years old, and Richard's teenage daughter that he had a really close relationship with. There is no way that either of them would have just gone off to start a new life and leave their entire families behind. They had close ties with their families, and nobody believes that they would have voluntarily disappeared. There was the possibility that they'd somehow managed to drive off one of the bridges into the river, but searches of the river haven't revealed any indication that that's what actually happened to them. In 2022, the private search and recovery team Adventures with Purpose started working on their case, and up to this point, nothing has been found by any team in the river. The FBI, however, believe that Danielle and Richard were murdered.
I have never questioned that for a day. He would have never, ever, ever left me.
There is nothing in my sister's past that would cause her to disappear off the face of the earth. She was just a really kind, sweet woman. And for the life of me, I can't understand how there could be such evil out there to want to destroy something so beautiful.
Confident that it was a murder, that there was foul play.
I just can't understand who would want to hurt her.
I think a lot of people out there know.
Do you believe, as Christine said, that people know?
Yes,
Somebody knows, or you think,
people know.
is he still somebody you're looking at?
I haven't closed anybody out. We have a solid direction. We have a lot of information. I might have that silver bullet or that golden nugget.
The FBI coming out and saying that is a big thing. It is. To say that people know, people in the plural know, is a big thing. But disappearing two people and a vehicle, not an easy thing to do. It's possible that it was a random attack.
They left the bar, happy. No situations, no incidents. Nothing that we uncovered indicated any kind of altercation or anything at Abilene's.
There had been a spate of vehicle thefts in the area, but if you're going to steal someone's vehicle, you're not going to murder two people just for the sake of taking a vehicle. I don't think the target was the vehicle, and I don't think the FBI believe that the target was the vehicle. The target was either Danielle or Richard, or both of them. Now, there's been many theories and possible suspects that law enforcement have investigated, but none of those leads have led to any evidence that might recover Danielle or Richard. The FBI believe they are deceased and that they've been murdered. Now, a lot of people looked at Joe Imbo because he wanted Danielle back and he was very, very angry at Richard.
Talk about Joe Imbo, and he did take a polygraph at the time. Is he still somebody you're looking at?
I haven't closed anybody out. I haven't discounted anybody. I can't until I got the definitive details, evidence, and information that I need to say this is what happened. We did show that Joe Imbo was not in Philadelphia or Mount Laurel based on the information available at the time, that he was in fact out in Tom's River.
So he had an alibi.
So he had an alibi. He had an alibi for where he was, yes.
Joe has an alibi for that night, and only a handful of people knew where Richard and Danielle were because this was a spur of the moment thing. So if this was planned, a planned murder, it had to be someone intimately connected with either Danielle or Richard's inner circle. Now, since 2008, the FBI have considered that this could be a potential murder for hire plot. Would it have been Joe Imbo? He had an alibi for the night, but could he have paid someone? But again, only a few people knew where Danielle and Richard were going to be that night. But no one saw them. After they left that bar, no one saw them. They just disappeared. They just disappeared into thin air. How far did they get? Did they get to their vehicle and someone jumped them and made them drive away in a direction that no one would have expected? If so, who? It's a crazy one, this. It's a real head scratcher. But their families are just desperate for any piece of information.
And we don't know now how to live each day without them, without knowing where they are.
The FBI are offering a reward of up to $15,000 for any information leading to the arrest or conviction of anyone involved in the disappearance of Danielle Imbo and Richard Petrone. Danielle was last seen wearing a dark-coloured jacket, cream-coloured sweater and blue jeans. She regularly wears 3 small silver rings on either her left or right middle finger. And Richard was last seen wearing a grey polo brand sweatshirt and blue jeans. He has a tattoo of the word Angela on his left arm and a tattoo of clowns on his right arm. His vehicle was a 2001 black over silver Dodge Dakota pickup truck with Pennsylvania license plate YFH 2319. I'll leave a link to the FBI page in the description box where you can click a link to submit an anonymous tip, or you can contact your local FBI office or the nearest American embassy or consulate if you've got any information whatsoever. The families just need some closure, surely, after almost 20 years. Danielle and Richard deserve justice. Their families deserve answers. And the FBI ain't gonna stop. So if you've got any information, however small, send it in anonymously. Just share any information that you might have, please. What do you think happened to Danielle and Richard? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.